Yes, it's P.M.P. Not the P.M.P. we were looking for today, not going to lie. I think there's a lot of angry voices in the Celtic support today. I think there's pennies dropping left, right and centre as to what the hell is wrong with the football club right now and how long it's been going wrong for. And I think it all sort of culminated in what was a second half that I can only describe as worse than the first half against St Johnstone last week, and that is saying something. But when you put in the two worst halves you've seen Celtic put in football in the space of just 7 days, 8 days, something like that, fuck, you're up shit creek. There's real issues, and we're going to get torn into them all today. Obviously, we will do all that good stuff very quickly. Gives me like a share, slag the hair, all that stuff. Hit subscribe. If you want to become a member, all that carry on. We'll brush over that today because I'm not really in the mood for all that crap. Terry, fucking hell, man. I actually thought we were good first half today. Yeah. I thought we started the game well. I thought, right, that message that Rodgers was trying to get across has really worked. There's a bit of purpose here. There's an impetus about the team creating chances. That's came back to haunt us, not taking them firmly enough. But again, you downgrade on your second choice striker who needs a game, and guess what? He doesn't bury the ones that the guy that you sold for buttons would. That's just one example, by the way. I'm not putting it all on him. I just feel that the first half, overall, though, the performance was pretty good. Second half, whatever Rodgers did last weekend, the opposite must have happened today, because that is falling off a cliff in terms of performance levels, in terms of attitude, application, all the usual stuff that we talk about when things don't go right. But today, none more so apparent that the lack of quality options we've got to change it when we need to change it aren't there. I think there's a squad there that I'm not convinced, for whatever reason, in the manager's methods. Some of them just aren't capable of deploying it, to be honest, as well, to give the manager a wee bit of a pass on that aspect. And there's also just a lack of fight and a lack of desire at times that I'm seeing. People become passive when the shit hits the fan rather than becoming more aggressive and wanting to make things happen. They seem to hide a wee bit in the last couple of weeks anyway, when it's not been going our way. Talk us through another game of two halves for Celtic this week that is the opposite way round for the week before, but this time we paid the full fucking price, and that is no points from a match that we were in the lead in and we should have walked away with 3.
There's been two types of performances this season, Bhoycie. Type A, we're at it, we're on our game, we look good, we're creating chances, we're scoring goals, we're putting teams to the sword. You and I are coming on here and we're talking about the great qualities that some of these players have. Then there's Type B, which no intensity, no fight, no stomach for it, not playing good football, not creating chances, and we're asking questions around, are these players good enough to be at the club? And now what we've started to see in the last few weeks is performance type A and performance type B, both in the same game. And that's what today was, and that's what last week was. Thankfully, last week, we were on it when it mattered in the last quarter or third, depending who you listen to of the game. But today, first half, I really enjoyed the first half. I thought the first half was a good, competitive, enjoyable game of football. We went in 1-0 up. I think we could have had the game done. We could have had the game done in the first 30 minutes, but we were at it from the first whistle. We'd 5 shots on target, five attempts on goals, I should say, in the first 10 minutes. And the only surprise was it took us so long to get the goal. But even in that first half, when we were on top, there were warning signs. Killie could have scored. We got away with one when Alistair Johnson falls over and manages to clear the ball because he fell over. There was enough warning signs there for us to know that we were going to have to be on it again from the first whistle in the second half. But for whatever reason, we just didn't come out for the second half. Killie started bright. I mean, an idiot like me could say, I wrote on my page, 53 minutes. We need to make a change. It's only a matter of time before we concede a goal. We didn't make a change. It was only a matter of time before we conceded a goal. Then we conceded a goal. Then we tried to make a change, but nothing changed. The sea of momentum had completely changed, and I genuinely felt Killie were going to win the game. And to be fair to them, give them a bit of credit. They were up for it. They had the stomach for it. They could easily have let their heads go down when they went behind, but they didn't. They wanted to win the game, and they just went and took the points. And Celtic offered up very, very little resistance to that happening. Like I say, first half enjoyable. Thought, yeah, do you know what? Same again. Second half, we'll probably run out 2-3-0 winners and job done. But that second half was as bad as anything we've seen this season, and we have seen plenty of bad.
It was not enjoyable at all, that second half. I mean, when you go from a performance like we put in the first half, I mean, it's Killie away, right? Brilliant. They got up for the game. I mean, who cares? Like, we should be up for every single game. These guys get paid fortunes, even if it is in relative terms in football, not fortunes. We'll talk about that as well. But these guys have an absolute privilege getting to play for Celtic. You don't treat it like that at times. It doesn't feel like they feel as grateful as honoured to pull on the jersey. Modern football, though, to me as well, is becoming just a money game anyway. And I do think you're seeing less and less of that sort of personal pride, or getting to represent a club like Celtic or other clubs. But what we drew off that cliff that we speak of here, then that happened in the second half. The first half we could focus on more like all the positives. I'm not in the mood because we fucked it, right? See, once it goes for 1-0 up and then you put in that second half and we get beat 2-1, you can only look at the negatives. You can only go straight into the second half. Terry, what's happened in the changing room? Why is the message not getting re-emphasised that that's the standard we expect? We've only got one, but if we keep playing like that, we'll they came out with no motivation. See the first 10 minutes, as you say, 53 minutes you had written down. The first 10 minutes of the second half, I was genuinely looking at it going, this feels like it's a different 11 players. How can they be so chalk and cheese? I don't understand it. Is it because when the opposition raised their level a wee bit, are we hiding from that? Are we getting intimidated by that? But not just that aspect of it, though. Celtic themselves seemed to drop off far too much. I don't know how you can drop off that much in your performance level in the space of the same fucking game. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But the whole team, the whole team.
How have we got there?
The whole team.
So exactly, that's what I'm trying to work out.
I don't know. There's two things.
Yep.
How did we get there? And secondly, how could we not do something about it? When the warning signs were there, how come the players on the pitch weren't able to make in-game decisions to try and stop what was obviously going to happen? Or the management team, why were they not able to act? Why did it take Kilmarnock to score for us to make a change whenever it was obvious, as I say, to an idiot like me, there was only going to be one thing happen here, and it happened. Why were we not able to try and stop that from happening? Be it, and I know the options on the bench, and again, we talk about this, we look at it, they probably aren't as strong as we would like them to be, but we had to change something. We had to try a different formation or something, because Kilmarnock were going to score. It was just so obvious they were going to score, and we just allowed it to happen. It's like Celtic were powerless to do anything about it, and that shouldn't be the case. We give the manager so much credit for in-game decisions and things that he does to change games, but this isn't the first time we've had this conversation this season. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to try and stem the tide of Kilmarnock outfighting us, creating chances. Did nothing. We just let it happen. So and then the panic substitution, Kyogo on for Iwata, go for two up front. It was too late at that stage. Celtic were gone. They were absolutely gone. Killie had got the bit between their teeth. They knew we were there for the taking. It's the same things. I mean, we'll not just pick on the same players that we normally pick on, because you could just go through the whole team. But Killie got a lot of success down their right-hand side, our left-hand side. Goalkeeper, Jekyll and Hyde performances, makes a good save, then looks like an absolute novice. Nat Phillips, there's a reason the guy's 26 and he's only played 50 games. That probably tells you all you need to know about him. But you could go through that team in the second half. There was nobody. We talk about Lewis Palmer. We talk about his numbers. We talk about how dangerous he looks. He was anonymous today. Just so many that were off it. It's just hard to describe. It's hard to describe how you can just have that drop off in that 15-minute half time when the manager has got the players in there and has got that amount of time to set out the stall for what the second half is going to look like. And I'm pretty sure that's not what he had in mind.
This is unravelling a wee bit. Now, without being too dramatic, we are still top of the league, obviously. It's 5 points. If they win their game in hand, they would get it down to 2. Obviously, we've got the big derby, in a few weeks' time, where you'll be looking to try to get those 3 points back as a gap for us in the lead. So guarantees with that, of course, even at home. It's absolutely far from it. There's no guarantees in any game for Celtic right now, it feels. There's no guarantees in fuck all. And now, we don't want it to be too guarantee, for want of a better expression, Terry. But I've never felt so unsure as what I do before every game now. I almost dread watching us. Because it's not even like the style of football at times is getting you through it anyway. Like, even if it is a turgid 1-0 win, at least there's it's something to watch. It's exciting. And now it just feels like, even though it was a good first half, only Celtic would, do the absolute opposite in the second half and just kill all your hopes for that first half display already, in the same game. I end up getting beat. The results so far this season, when you consider the Champions League, you consider exiting the League Cup, the drop points domestically, I think we must have dropped or not won games. I think it's in something like 5 or 6 out of about 19, 20 domestically. Someone will have the exact numbers. And it's a third of games that we're not winning domestically right now. Is that normal? Am I being over the top? I don't know. It feels like it's more than normal. I don't know why that is. I think there's obviously as well the other conversation that whilst you could say he didn't do anything, he didn't look like he was doing anything. One of the weirdest things is, though, he didn't really have options to make big changes.
No, but you could change the formation. He's changed the formation in other games. There was one of the European games where he changed the formation because I think he described it as he could see that we were starting to, the opposition were starting to create chances, and he wanted to try and tighten things up, and we moved to the 3. So suppose Nawrocki was on the bench, could we have moved to a 3? Could we have done something just to try and make it harder for Killie to get through us, because they were creating chances at will. And I think I've seen the stats at the end. 13 attempts. Kilmarnock had 13 attempts on goal against Celtic. When does that ever happen?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the first season, I think I heard, since 1964-65 when Killie won the league. Now they've beaten us twice in a domestic campaign. They've beaten us twice before the new year. 2 they're on right now. Derek McInnes, it was his 50th game against us or something today. He's only ever won 7. And normally that's with the second best team in the country, Aberdeen at the time. He was finishing second more often than not. He finished third a couple of times, but he always got beat off us. Who the fuck's he now beating us with Killie 2 out of 2 in this season? And funnily enough, not maybe the majority, but a lot of those games in his 50 against Celtic as a manager will have been against Brendan. Now, we're going to go down 2 avenues. Manager, firstly, let's look at his responsibility in all this. And let's go back to the beginning. We have obviously had this conversation a few times, but there's 315 on the bus right now. So it's important that if you've not heard some of the conversations that we've had, a wee recap. The vibe on the bus, or certainly for myself, is I think Rodgers is culpable for the window. As much as, trust me, when we talk about the board, they'll get both barrels. But if you are elite managers, I kept proclaiming that he was in the summer, the best we could go out and get, then I expect him to do good manager things. And that starts with driving the need to get the players he wants in that summer. You're not going to get them all. No manager does. But I expect at least one.
Do you think we got one?
Anyone this summer?
Yeah, I think we might have got one. And that's all the more worrying. Surely Surely Nat Phillips is.
Brendan signing. Yeah.
That just came into my head when I was watching the game today. I'm thinking
right.
that's because of his relationship. We've needed someone that he said, look, I know a guy, we could probably get him. That's probably how that conversation has gone. So that's a little bit concerning in itself. But sorry to cut across you there, but that's
no, that's fine. Paddy Boy corrected me as well. We beat them 3-1 at Celtic Park.
He was dreadful though, Bhoycie, wasn't he? He was dreadful.
Phillips, fuck.
How does that guy spend whatever number of years he has at Liverpool? I know he doesn't play very often, but he just looks so awkward.
Yeah. Let's take Phillips aside then, because today was obviously, that was his Shane Duffy day. That's him done. He won't, I don't think he'll play for us again. Unless, by the way, the guys at Celtic have brought in, Rocky and Lagerbielka, as Brendan alluded to the other week, are that off it. And he was alluding to their training. You can't even get the right attitude off them in training. That's what he's saying. I'm looking for personality in training. Fucking, these are basics that we should be.
Just see the bench though. There seems to be no logic to who gets into the squads, because Yang got ditched, then Yang was back again. Nawrowski's been nowhere, then he comes onto the bench. Burnaby, totally out of the blue, ends up on the subs bench. There doesn't seem to be any consistency. Tillio in the matchday squad, out, back in again, out. It just seems scattergun, almost.
Does it not seem to you like he's not got much faith in any of them? That's how we're seeing with the midfield thing we were talked about. Bernardo, he only plays Champions League, doesn't play the league.
Yeah, he'll be in on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, therefore, I think he maybe has 11 players that he likes in the squad. 11, maybe 12. That's like half Terry, or less than half. Celtic squad's probably a bit bloated right now. I just worry that he doesn't see all the rest. I think it's almost like just pin the tail on a donkey. He doesn't care. He just pulls him out a hat, because he doesn't seem to have much faith in these options. And like you rightfully point out, if we think there could have been a change made before it was, surely the manager can see that as well. But if he's not making the change, does that tell you? You're talking about changing tactics. Maybe he's looking at the players there going, they can't. They're not good enough for me to be able to change tactics.
I think we had to do something, though.
I agree.
It was so obvious that we were under the cosh. We had to do something just to give Killie something different to think about, just to give them a different challenge, and we didn't. And that's the bit that I find surprising. But for all we know, Bhoycie, maybe he did change stuff, but it wasn't obvious to anyone watching. There didn't seem to be any tweaks. There didn't seem to be any tactical changes. It was almost right, and he talked about it in his post-match, which I caught there just before we come on, because I was really interested to hear what he had said. And he talked about, I can't even remember what was he saying before I started that. What were we saying? He wasn't able to change anything.
Yeah, I'm saying the options that he's got on the bench personnel wise, I don't think he's got much faith in, right? And I generally think he looks at the bench, goes, who did I pick for the bench today? Oh, it was you, Seven. Doesn't seem to be much structure to it, as you rightfully point out. But then not just that, when you're looking at them, what he does with the team on the park, I don't think he's got that much faith that he can go, I will just change it 3-5-2 mid-game. He's like, look at them. They've got no chance of being able to follow that. But I have to be honest on the Brendan one so far. He is definitely underachieving, in my opinion, so far since he came back as well. Do I think he's been given the tools? We're going to talk about that in a different conversation.
Remember, first time round, he was always out. He was always doing the whistles, and he was doing the hand signals, and that's how I remember him. He just doesn't seem to have that same energy.
I don't think he feels like he's got his team.
And I know it was an awful day. I know it was
not his team.
He was just standing there with his coat and his hood up.
Yep, and I've thought that as well a few times. I think I'd said when we drew at home with St Johnstone, if you remember, I tweeted he looks a bit lost right now. And not, I think it said something like not in control of his destiny or some cheesy pish like that. But I think you can only end up being like that if you've not got your players. See, when you're talking about the hand signals, the whistling, it was very much Brendan's team. Very much Brendan's team. See, if this isn't your team, he's lost your stride. And I'll tell you this as well, and I go back to it. And I think this is on him if it's not his team, by the way. Like, it might sound like I'm trying to cover his arse. I'm actually not. I'm fucking annoyed that he didn't come back and be the Brendan that we had before. That's all coming home at roost before the January windows even got there. Out of Europe with a whimper. Again, the one thing he said he wanted to make as a forcing. Out the League Cup, the first time he's ever been out of a domestic cup. Dropping points in the league more times already by New Year. Do you know what I mean? It's so frustrating to think this could have been better for you, Rodgers, had you found your bollocks in the summer. You chose not to. You went on a happy clapping, oh, look, I'm back, I'm so grateful to be here, a drive that I don't think Celtic needed. I don't think Celtic needed a Brendan like that. I think they needed the manager from before to come back and try and be as close to that as he possibly could. Miles off, there's over 400 on the bus. A lot of Rangers fans now coming in as well, which is fantastic. It's brilliant to have you on. Remember, buy a programme on the way out. Do you know what I mean? Nice one, lads. Good to have you here. And yeah,
this is the thing, though, Bhoycie. If we play Rangers next week, I still think we beat them. Do you know what I mean? I still fancy us to beat them.
Yeah, I know.
As long as the Type A turns up.
Yeah, it's weird, eh? It's so weird. Well, here's Marty Boy comes in. He says this scenario could turn toxic very easily. I'm not trying to be fucking Nostradamus and that. I'm just going, I can only remember most of my own thoughts as opposed to other people, right? Just see, for me, fucking, when it comes to toxicity, see when the fans hate the board and the board hate the fans and the players don't listen to the manager and the manager didn't buy any of the players, I'd already call that toxic. The fans on the board are at loggerheads. There's a section of the fans, the loudest section of the fans, banned. There's a board that are not backing the football operation and getting every single right to be getting slaughtered for it, and we'll talk about that. But I also think there's players working under Rodgers who aren't that into Rodgers' methods. And I think Rodgers has a team in front of him that he's not that into himself in terms of the personnel. I don't know what else can we say about toxic. That is toxic right there. The board and the fans fucking hating on each other, and the player and the manager having a disconnect. And the other thing on Rodgers as well, very quickly, not one guy to have as a go-to man behind you in that dugout, because you fucking accepted the same thing Lenny did for the COVID season. What Celtic offer you behind you? Don't get it, never will get it. It's bullshit. Ange liked it because he gave him total autonomy. Celtic were broken when Ange came in, and that's the perfect storm. Same way Spurs were broken when he went in. It's a perfect storm for him to go into these sort of jobs. Celtic were on a high this time when Rodgers came in because he just won a treble. And we had our second year of automatic group stage football. And he went along with the same as opposed to still going, I know it's been going okay, but I still want it my way. That's what he should have done. He's not found his bollocks and someone's blown it.
It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we're looking ahead to January and what changes might happen in terms of playing staff, but it will also be interesting to see who he brings in to replace Harry Kewell. Is it someone that he's worked with before? Is it someone who's been at Celtic before? Is it someone, as you say, someone that he feels he trusts and can help him during the course of a game? One of his own men.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He has to have a plan, mate. He had to have more of a plan when he came in. He couldn't just be winging it. But Glasgow CSC comes in. Good to have you on the bus as always, mate. And he's like, it's December. We get to win 3 games in a row. That's utterly staggering. Rodgers has been as bad as it gets. This league will be away. I'm convinced the league will be away. I'm not convinced by the opposition are remotely good enough to actually end up doing it over the long haul. I think we will.
I think, Bhoycie, as long as we keep a cushion, I don't want to go behind them because they'll get their tails up, and I think if they overtake us, we're in trouble. But I don't think it'll happen. I genuinely don't. We're about to embark on a period here where we've got quite a lot of games at home. That's no guarantee. Certainly this season, it's no guarantee. But you expect that we should be able to get the job done in those home games. And like I say, the main opposition, which is Rangers, they've got a bit of reaction from the new manager, but they are still a long, long way off being a good side. And I know they usually find a way to get the job done, but they'll drop points as well.
Well, of course they will, but that's not what we're wanting to be relying on either. And that's where today's results. It's always a disaster when we get beat. There's no getting away from it.
Were we a bit snobbish when it looked as if Enzo Maresca might have got the job? He's doing all right down south.
Well, Leicester doing? I don't know.
They're top.
Are they?
Aye, they're top now.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Scoring goals for fun. Top of the league.
I didn't want him. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not want him. But anyway, right, okay. If Rodgers is as culpable as we make out, then obviously that leads us to the next topic of conversation. Now, whilst it is futile in the sense that, well, once the window closed, you had what you had. And that's got to be on the manager to if he didn't have the options he wanted or he had any faith in, then he didn't get his message across loud enough. Other better managers do that. So it's on Rodgers if he lost his bollocks. That's not on us. But the board themselves are managing a downsizing operation right now. Let's be fucking clear on that. They are consistently busy in windows. They look busy, Terry, because we bring in a hell of a lot of players. The spend looks high. The net spend is always profit. The players coming in cost less than they did 25, 30 years ago. 25, 30 years and your football club can't afford what they could afford. Then don't tell me this is just, it's just the way of the world. It's how football is. Shut up. That's not how it works. The money that Celtic are spending to be comparable to the 90s, even if you look at Alan Stubbs, he was £4 million. That would have been a record signing. He joined us in 1996. That would have been a record signing this summer. And yet we had guaranteed group stage football for the second year in a row. So let's have a wee serious word here. Yes, Brendan might not be getting his message across, but he's also doing it with a lot of players that are way out their depth when it comes to being at Celtic's level. Come on.
He gets the final say on them, Bhoycie.
Does he though? I don't. I think he's made all that up too at the same time. I honestly do.
That's on him. If he's saying one thing in public, that's on him as well.
But I think we've covered that, to be fair, and this is why I'm now wanting to have a conversation about the board and where these players are getting identified, who's recommended them, and how much pressure are they putting on whoever is manager for them to be brought in.
Well, whoever's recommending them probably needs their P45s. Some of them. Now, here's the thing as well, though, Bhoycie. We can't just sit one day and say, yeah, that guy looks a really good player, and then the next day he's shite, he's useless, and then the next day, oh yeah, he's all right, and that's what we're doing. I mean, if we even look at the case of Iwata, campaigning for him to get a start, thought he played really well the other night, thought he was completely anonymous today. Palma, look at him, look at his numbers. He's going to match Jota's numbers. These are all words I've been saying today. Anonymous.
Yeah, a shocker today, to be fair.
Matt O'Reilly, world beater. And he actually did play quite well today. But still, when the chips were down, that's when you need your big players to come through. And again, we're looking at the captain. Nobody seemed to be able to do anything to try and stop what was happening. But I know we're going back on an old conversation. The conversation around the board, Bhoycie, we've had that one. We've gone around the houses on that one as well. I think the players that we're signing are not being signed with the first 11 and success on the park in mind. They're being signed in terms of potential profitability in the future. We're signing players to punt them. We're not signing players to make the team better.
I think they sign the 6-7 players, low risk fees, and they hope one of them becomes the gem. They sell the gem, and that pays for all the fees for the other ones who didn't make the grade. And they go again with that money. And whilst all competition money, by the way, which gets earned by the footballing operation, this is the fucking annoys me. Ange earned group stage football for Celtic twice and wasn't rewarded in the summer 2022. Fact. He was not rewarded. And if you think his head doesn't already start turning. I don't think he's a career man anyway. Fair play to him. No criticism from me on that. That's up to him. But I think his head instantly would have been turning when it's Bernabé's. He wanted, remember it was Vinicius Souza? Couldn't get him in. He went to Espanyol instead.
He's playing, where's he? He's Sheffield United now. He's playing in the EPL.
Is that where he is now?
Vinicius Souza. There's definitely a Vinicius Souza playing for them. I don't know if it's the same guy.
I'm sure that's his name. I'm sure that's him.
I'm pretty sure he's playing for Sheffield United.
That was the target, and he got Moy instead. But that's calling a favour, mate, because Moy obviously was on the brink. And
if Ange stayed, would we have brought in the same players we brought in this summer?
He knew the warning signs there. He goes, even when I reward the club with money, serious money, by competition qualification, straight to the group stage, that's not then the years gone by where we go, we need to play it cool here, because if we don't navigate the playoffs, good chance of that. If we don't navigate the playoffs, then what will happen is we've overspent in that summer. So we budget for Europa League every year. But that mindset has to change when it's guaranteed group stage qualification. And if you're the manager as well, you'd go, well, I want rewarded for the success I've had. I know what I've just brought you in. I want some of it. I don't think that's normal. Our net spend consistently, Terry, even including January windows, is profit. Our net spend is zero because we're making money instead. A football club can't be evolving year on year with no net spend whatsoever. It cannot keep stockpiling money up to what? What do they want? The 100 million tag? I've heard a lot of people say they just want to say we got Celtic up to 100 million in the bank. Arscus, so this is where it gets silly. Arscus, brilliant to have you on, mate. What a brilliant name you've got. And you certainly sound like one right now, because Ange wasn't backed. No one said that. You're not listening. Last summer, I think his head would have started turning when players came in that he wanted or didn't come in that he wanted, and he had to then go further down the list. Or players were afforded to him, such as the likes of Bernabé. He spent more money than any manager ever. His net spend, Askissa, will take you to a different space. That's the important bit. Because see, if you're losing quality, you have to replace it with quality. If you're always making profit, that means there's better players leaving than what you're bringing in. This is simple stuff. This isn't like me trying to be clever. So Askissa, I'm afraid you're wrong. And it sounds like you're Askissa the board.
I think Martin's still the manager that spent the most money. Has to be. And again, how long ago is that? Yeah,
exactly. It was long. 20 years ago that summer then. 2001, it would have been, we got in 2000, 6 million on Sutton, 3.5 million Volharen, he was the summer after, he was 2001. So 2000, he'd have been Lenny, 6 million, Thompson, 3 million, all in the one summer. See the fact that 23 years later, we'd be buzzing if we spent that in a summer. But, it's just stupid. We are absolutely miles away. Andrew Taggart, but you asked Chris Rogers. It's probably true. Andrew, I take your point. You're right. I have. I'm changing my ways.
Do you remember I said last week? If that was a Neil Lennon performance, the fans
man, I totally agree.
Outside the stadium. And I do genuinely think if Lenny was in charge right now with what we've been watching this season, they'd be calling for Lenny to go. Do you know what I mean? Brendan's got he's kind of got this status, and if you just judged him on this time around, you'd be asking serious questions. He's got credit in the bank from the first time round,
sure,
and because we know that he's regarded in the game as a top manager. But if you just looked on what he has done since he came in this summer and just judged it solely on that, we'd be asking questions right now.
But I agree with you, right? And I don't want to agree, but I do. He's annoyed me, Rogers, so far since he came in for his lack of testicular fortitude in the transfer window, letting players be not forced upon him, but just suggested to him. And for a guy with strong football and opinion, just to go, yeah, that'll do. And I'll go read out the party line that I signed them all off. You clearly didn't, because you've got no faith in any of them. Now, that as the season's unravelling, we can see that. But we're on about the board now, Terry. I know you might not be your comfortable thing because you prefer to talk about the football in the park. But they go hand in hand, pal. We can't get away from it. And right now, they are genuinely downsizing the team in front of our eyes. But not like they did. See, when Strachan got the job, there was still wee hints of ambition whilst we were obviously bringing the wage bill down. But the wage bill was also being brought down at that point because Celtic's expenditure was too high with what the revenue streams were at that point in terms of Umbro made the kit then. Then it became Nike. But during the time Umbro were making the kit, I think the revenue for that would have been way, way less than what the Nike deal would have been that was forthcoming. Champions League money was nowhere near it. TV money, albeit still small in Scotland, was nowhere near it what it is now. It's still like a quarter of it or something like that. You know what I mean? When you then seen the downsizing, it was because we had debts that we had to get cleared, we had to get it back up. But we still, even then, even though it was Lawwell, I think that was there by then, by the time Stratton came in, there's still seen moments of ambition. You know, I know Graveson's a Raj signing, but it was 40 odd grand a week. There was other ones like Venegura Hesselink, a European proven striker coming in, Dutch international. Donati, most caps for Italy's under 21s ever. So amidst all that, then you had your other ones like your Caldwells, Paul Telfers. You know, these sort of guys all came in as well that were more affordable, that would get the job done domestically, but they're still sprinkling of quality. Now,
Do you remember the sign Gravison? Do you remember the sign Gravison? I was excited. Like, I honestly thought this guy is just absolutely going to boss it up here. And he just looked so uncoordinated, and he looked as if he'd never played the game before. Now, he had some great moments. He scored
against Rangers twice, I'm sure.
He scored goals against Rangers. He some great moments, but you just thought, we're signing this guy from Real Madrid here. We're bringing him in on big salary, and it just petered out. He had good moments at the start, but it just totally petered out. And some of the times where we have gone for it,
when
have been, well, I think...
Give me examples.
The Robbie Keane loan.
Reactive, not proactive. Are you frozen?
No.
You're just staring at me.
I'm just staring at you.
I like that, Terry. But no, I mean, the Robbie Keane one was not a... That was just...
The Robbie Keane loan, to me, that was the end of Tony Mowbray, because he didn't want that player.
Yeah, Celtic were trying to get fans on side, which, of course,
brought in Robbie Keane, which meant Scott McDonald didn't get playing, and Mowbray wanted McDonald to be playing. And
did he? I don't think you liked him either.
I think.
Anyway, we're going way off topic, right? Let's get back.
I know we are, but I don't know where you expect the conversation with the board to go, because it always has felt to me.
No, there's never been £72 million in the bank, Terry. Never been £72 million.
But that doesn't matter. There's only been one time.
It does matter.
There's only been one time in my lifetime where we've really gone out and speculated, and that was. But
there's never been a moment in your lifetime where we've had £72 million in the bank.
I know, but I heard somebody else talking the other day and gone 72 million. Like, at the end of the day, there's players getting signed every window for twice that.
It's a percentage game, though, Terry. Whatever you've got sitting there, there's no point going stale, gathering dust. For what? You spend... Look at this. I'll give you a great example, a relevant one that just happened. Hibs just sold a player to Stromsø, Ronny Deila's old club in Norway, easy for me to say, for £1 million. Here's a thought. How much cash reserves do you think Stromsø have in their bank? I'm going to guess they've just used 25% of it on one player, mate. Celtic don't use any percent on their whole window because they make profit every window. Think on what I'm saying. Their net spend, mate, is profit. You can't carry on like that, mate. That's not investing in a football operation anymore. That is becoming a business before football.
I don't know why you're surprised by that.
What?
Why? What do you?
What
think?
Are you talking about? Why am I surprised by that?
You're what? No, but why do you think we were going to spend some of that money?
Because of Bhoys' responsibility, though, mate.
Yeah, but you sitting here saying it every week isn't going to make it happen. This board
because I'm saying it.
But the board don't do it.
It's not because I'm fucking saying it, mate. Calm down. It's not because I'm saying it. But you cannot expect this to carry on and carry on. That we just keep downsizing the team, but keep letting it. Why is that acceptable?
I didn't say it's acceptable, but I said I expect it to carry on.
But you expect it.
Because that's what the club do.
This is mad. I don't understand the conversation. It's just stupid. It's just so stupid. That cannot be how someone does things for like the long term.
That's how Celtic do business, Bhoycie.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't think. I think that can't be the long-term plan. You just can't. We're the only football club in the world, Terry, that makes a profit every window and downsizes the first team and still calls himself a football club. There'd be a business then, and the football club's in the background.
Well, that's what it is.
It's mental.
That's what it is, Bhoycie.
But that's not what it should be.
It's not what it should be. It's not what it should be. What it is.
What's your opinion on it? Then, rather than passive on it, do you actually have an opinion on it, or you just because you don't expect change?
I expected it to happen this summer. I really, really genuinely did. And the bit that we'll never know is if the manager didn't change, would that summer window have been different? My gut feel is no, because Rodgers talked about how there were already deals that were in place before he came in. So they were coming in, whether it was Ange or whether it was anybody. So I probably foolishly felt this was going to be the summer where it all changed. And I think it became apparent very, very early in Rodgers' time back that it wasn't going to happen. I know you held on to that sort of last week of the window thing, but I just didn't see it happen at that point. And I think the fans are doing the same thing again. We're gearing ourselves up for a big January here. And
no,
I genuinely don't see it happening.
No. This is the biggest problem, though, because you can't just keep giving them a pass on that. It's so important that there is an attitude shift. And it shouldn't always be as a reactive one, like that Robbie Keane signing. See if we can afford 60 grand a week then.
Yeah.
Right? Let's get real here. We can afford it now in a player if we so wished. We don't ever build from we've got them where we want them. Mickey Beale in there in the summer, that encourages the board to go, our board, to go on we'll just buy loads of rough gems and hope one of them shines up nice. Do you know what I mean? Because Mickey Beale's across for you. But they've changed. And they're a better team. I don't think they played particularly well yesterday, but I think they're a different mindset under this guy, this Philip Clement. I think he's got the chops. I think he seems a decent manager, and he's been there and won titles before. And he does definitely bring, I think, for me, more of a threat. That Mickey Beale was a joke to me. I was like, but if Celtic are viewing it as that, they must be enjoying it. Because we're giving
them plenty of encouragement, by the way, as well.
Well, that's true. That's true. But then they don't get right in properly. They don't. Celtic should be so so unimpressed by what goes on around them and just on their own journey. Is the team better this window? Yes. Have we got a happy manager? Yes. Are the fans? And where was the last time? And I keep going back to this, right? Keep going back to this. When was the last magical moment we had as a fan when it became a player recruitment? That's all part of the story for me, Terry. People seem to think that when it comes to football, it's now all translated in accounts and all this stuff, and it comes very science-based and XG when it's on the park and stuff. You need moments of magic in your life. When was the last time we had that?
I know. Do you remember ever picking up the paper and seeing somebody on the back page that you'd heard of was linked with Celtic? Do you know what I mean? Someone where you actually go, well, I actually know him. He's good. I've seen a bit of him. He's good. This is exciting. Yeah, I totally take that. When was the last time you felt this is an exciting signing where you didn't have to go on to YouTube?
Galvanizing moment,
YouTube, check the spelling of the person's name to try and see something because you'd seen it before. And I know the game's changed obviously a hell of a lot. And when you mentioned that Alan Stubbs transfer, if you think back to then, a lot of the younger viewers and supporters probably will struggle to comprehend this, but Alan Stubbs at that time was the most sought after centre back in Britain. He was in talks with Blackburn and Liverpool, and he signed for Celtic. He was in talks
And
with
that was at
both.
Tommy Burns Celtic, not one with all these revenues. This is what I'm saying. And no one's expecting us, by the way, to be competing with Liverpool for players anymore now. We don't. But we still expect, I think the fans deserve moments as a supporter tour. That is what we do. Terry, can you believe that we're about to sign blah, blah, blah?
I know.
We don't do fuck all like that now. It's so... Groundhog Day, I seen someone put in the live chat a minute ago. It is. You hope for Europe. Europe's gone before Christmas. Domestically, chances are you'll have domestic bliss because you'll spend that wee bit more than Rangers. What else is there?
Thank you to 420 somewhere, because that is what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to say that it's right, but I was trying to say...
Terry, I'm just in the mood to get wound up.
We've been conditioned. We've been conditioned that this is the way it is. And
yeah, aye. It's so true.
But as a support base, what can you actually do to change that? How can we get that board to change their way, change their approach?
Is that, well, yeah, to be honest, I don't know. And you've got guys in there now that are legacy things now, because it's not just 2 Lowells for the price of 1, which I called out a long time ago, as you know. It's now 2 Desmonds for the price of 1 as well, and the Desmond's son being cocky enough to say at the AGM they will never ever sell their controlling stake. Never in his lifetime. See, when you're in a comfortable position like that, and you've got your feet under the table that much, what do you do to overcome it? What can you do? And even if you go all out, all the sharks back out the lot, Terry, what change can you really force? Not much. Now, there might be other people, by the way, watching this going, you're top of the league. You didn't make a profit in the summer. The Champions League you never qualify from anyway. What's all this big shock all about, ladies and gentlemen? What is it? What's going on? I just think we need to be looking for better. I think the club's equipped now to do better than it is as well.
The opportunity's there. Everything is
yes.
right. Everything is right for what we're talking about, except the attitude of the people who manage the purse.
Now we're talking. Now you're back on side, Terry. We're back in the same dugout again.
You're a wee bit lost there.
No, you're fine. That makes total sense. That's the thing that's really frustrating for me. When we look back to some of the things that Celtic have done when they couldn't afford it, such as maybe the Martin O'Neill era, we were maybe outspending what we were, but we were doing it with a wee bit of risk and reward involved, because we were expecting to make inroads in the Champions League. We came so close on a couple of occasions. I watched the Leon highlights this morning on Twitter. So it was like, I don't know, 20 years to the day since Baldy's handball in the last minute. That would have been an extra 2-3 million quid if you remember then, which all would have been relative to what Celtic's debt was sort of piling up as by strengthening the first team so much. Now, though, it just feels like there's so low bar in terms of ambition, in terms of attitude to improving that first team. Look at the tools he's got at his disposal. Rodgers takes a huge amount of responsibility today. Can't deny it. And some of the players I'm going to give a pass to purely on the basis of, you're in the wrong movie. You're in the wrong fucking movie, and that's not your fault. San Fran Celtic says skip the Feyenoord game. If it were me, if you wanted to make a statement, if you are that unhappy with the board and the Green Brigade scenario hasn't been sort of married up with, so they'll be on board with any other sort of protest. If you are wanting to try and get the club to wake up and not fall asleep at the wheel, or in my opinion, Terry, I think they're asleep at the wheel so much as they parked in at the lay-by, nodded off an electric blanket wrapped around them. I don't think they've nodded off at the wheel. I think they'd already parked the car by then and nodded off in the lay-by, because if you want to get a change there, you could collaborate with the two different things. The GB have their own thing with the board right now, but they're also not going to be happy with the investment levels either. Collaborate. I think the Feyenoord one's interesting.
Yeah, the board won't care. The tickets are already paid for.
They're already paid for.
Will be 3 match packages.
You said this before.
I'll not give a shit.
But the optics, though, I'm sure, still ring home. The optics on brand Celtic is very much what they care about. Brand Celtic, Celtic under the lights. See, if there's a lot of empty seats, that's damning on them, because that's never happened in the Champions League, us having empty seats. doesn't happen. It may well happen.
Yeah, and I suppose the board will be looking for a result on Wednesday night, because it's a couple of £1 million for winning a game in the Champions League.
2.25 million for a win.
£2.5 million. Do you know what I mean? That's 50% of our highest signing during the summer, just for winning one game of football. What do you think, Bhoycie? I know there was a bit of chat in the Bhoycie Bus WhatsApp group around the Green Brigade banner, and that's the second away game in a row that banner has appeared. That doesn't necessarily mean that those guys are at the game, because somebody else could just be using the banner as a sort of a show of support for the group. But that situation needs to be resolved. I don't have strong views on the Green Brigade. I think in terms of the positives around the atmosphere, absolutely. I think they're absolutely key to the atmosphere and things like that. And for that reason alone, I would like to see that situation resolved. But that's gone on longer than I expected it to go on. I expected that to be done and dusted. And again, when you've got the big game coming up on the horizon, you would hope that something's done in terms of that situation being resolved. But it's dragging on.
I think the board's been quite immature with it. And by the way, I think a lot of the Green Brigade stuff's immature as well. I think some of the statements they do I think are a wee bit full of grandeur, a wee bit like fuck off, mate. Do you know what I mean? But notwithstanding that, I think what they bring, the colour that they bring to a game, absolutely. I definitely don't need them telling me who to vote for politically and stuff. I think just leave it out, mate. Do you know what I mean? I've never voted Tory in my life, but it's not going to be because you tell me not to and stuff. Like, it just annoys me, that sort of thing. I think they overstep the mark with that. But in terms of atmosphere, fuck, you need them, mate. They're brilliant. They bring a brilliant bit of atmosphere to the ground. I'm sure that could change in years to come were they not to be back. But at this moment in time, I would say needs must. Let's get that back in. But then I look at Celtic and I go, see if you want to claim like these are like, almost belittle them. They do a hell of a lot of good work for charity. Well-organised stuff, and there's brains in that group as well, because there is no way those tifos that they've came up with over the years, that takes some sort of foresight and thought, and fair play to them. Now, with regards to the board on that other side, are they looking at them and are they going, we think we're better than you? I think Celtic's acted unprofessionally with them. Just get them round the table, iron out the differences, and let's get it back to being a win-win situation. I don't understand how that's been beyond Celtic.
Yeah, and like I say, I thought maybe one game, couple of games, that'll be resolved, but it's dragged on. And I was at the game a couple of weeks ago, and the atmosphere was eerie. And it's that sort of age-old argument, but there's still 60,000 people there that can create that atmosphere. But having that group in that one little area all together, it's a lot easier for the songs to start and emanate from a group of 250 people than drunken people scattered all over the stadium. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, if now is the end of the Green Brigade, I'm pretty sure at some point in the near future there'll then be another group that will emerge and take on that mantle. But we need all parts, as the manager talked about. We need all parts of the club to be joined up. And as you said, there's definitely some kind of disconnect between manager and players, whether it's the players that he's been given, that he's signed off on, aren't able to do what he needs them to do, which there's potential that that's the case. They're just not able to carry out his instructions, or he's not getting his instructions across in the right way. There's a disconnect there. There's an obvious disconnect between board and supporters, and there's a disconnect between board and the ultra group. And we need to just start joining all of these dots up again before things do spiral out of control. Because I think I've said there, I still expect us to get the job done in terms of this league, but I've been saying that as that points total now, it's dwindled. And I'll be honest with you, I look at it as being 2 points now, because I just fully expect that when Rangers play that additional game, they'll get the job done. And 2 points is when you consider some of the good performances that we've seen this season, and we know that they're not great. And Mickey Beale was there at the start. For it to be actually down to 2 points it's a little bit criminal. And you just didn't expect when Brendan came back that. You probably felt the one part that you could rely on would be that he would be able to get his message across to the players and look after that side of things. And that's probably the bit that's the most worrying, because he has to try and get a tune out of these guys. And I know the window's opening in, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. But
a notoriously difficult window as well.
I know everybody says that, but at the end of the day, if you want a player badly enough, just go and get him. Doesn't matter if it's January, June, July. Just go and get him. My worry would be that we don't have a list of people that we've identified that we really want to go and get. My concern would be that this list is the same as the last lot of lists, where it's people that have been identified on data spreadsheets, and because of where they've come from and potential marketing across the world. I want the players on that list to be 3 names that the manager said, right, let's go and get these 3, get this title done. They'll get us over the line, and they'll also strengthen us for next season, going into the biggest and most lucrative Champions League.
Yeah, I hear you. Ezequiel Romero comes in, Terry. He's watching us from Florida.
Unreal.
Not bad. There's 500 on the bus right now.
500?
Yeah, 500. It's as busy as we've been.
Misery loves company, as you say.
Misery loves, as Mark said. I kind of stole it off him, to be honest. But yeah, I stole that one off the judge. Misery. He'll be watching the round going, "Oh, you! That's my line." Okay, we'll round it up. Terry, where does the season take us now, based on what we've seen so far? What's upcoming, the hurdles that are involved in terms of the derby before the window, but with the window hopefully to strengthen, with what we've seen from the Celtic team so far in terms of their attitude, their application, in terms of results, and taking into factor where our rivals are at as well. Where are we?
I honestly don't know. From game to game, you feel as if you've turned a corner quite a few times this season, but you then feel as if you've turned that corner and gone back again. And I felt the 6-0 game against Aberdeen. I felt that was a corner turned. I felt the 1-0 Ibrox was a corner turned. I felt the 4-1 against Hibs during the week was the main corner turned, because that came off the back of a really, really poor performance. But it's just so Jekyll and Hyde. There's no consistency. It's from the sublime to the ridiculous, and I honestly don't know. We'll probably beat Feyenoord during the week, and we'll release the Champions League DVD just in time for Christmas, because we got 4 points. What's next up in the league then, Bhoycie? So that's away to Dundee
Hearts,
next week.
I'm sure.
Hearts, is it? Hearts, okay. Hearts at home, Dundee away.
I think it's Hearts at home.
And then it's the Rangers game after that. Is it?
I'm sure it's Hearts at home. Yeah, it is Hearts. Someone's just came in. Thanks, Pablo.
Hearts at home, Dundee away, Rangers at home.
My Twitter is getting hot as well. I've got a lot of notifications, Terry. A lot of notifications. I mean, it's just been so weird this season, hasn't it? See, when you actually look overall, mate, right, at fucking how it's been, and try and pin your moment on when we've had a right run of form. We've not.
No, there hasn't. It's always 1 or 2 steps forward, 1 or 2 steps back.
Jade Moffat, this hurts Bhoycie as well, as he's Brendan's biggest fan. No, Jade. No! I'm not Brendan's biggest fan. I was the biggest fan of him getting the job, I would say, in the summer, because I thought he was the best candidate. It's quite normal when someone's won 7 out of 7 trophies for Celtic that you think, well, him coming back's a good idea. Okay, I'll be his biggest fan if that's what you want to call us, Jade. But really, it hurts me because I'm a Celtic fan.
How do you think he's feeling right now, Bhoycie?
Annoyed at himself. I think that's why we've seen. The sort of nasty streak to him a wee bit. Nasty streak's a bit far. Fucking pantomime stuff. But do you know what I mean? I think when you've seen him like be quite ruthless. I said to you this last week, like with the Tilio one, he was like, yeah, he was in the squad because it was injuries. He'll be back out until he's ready. He was basically telling that journalist, Tilio's not good enough. And then it was a bit like Bielka and Rocky threw them under the bus for their attitude in training. And I was like, he's annoyed at himself because he fucked it in the summer. I don't give him a pass on that. And I think it just came back to roost. That's what I think. Smell God, Bhoycie might be taking down his Brendan posters in his bedroom. But I'm like, I'm 36 years old, smell the God, like I didn't really put posters up in the wall anymore. I've tried my best. Your mom says I'm one of his most vocal in our support. What happened to back the manager? Next to be one of our hashtags that not back the manager.
Bhoycie, the wave of euphoria when we knew he was coming back, that wasn't just you. That was across a large percentage of the support.
People flip flop on Brendan now because they've got the right to, because they've got evidence from what he's been a cunt in the past, so they can go, knew he'd be a disaster. Knew it wouldn't work this time.
Well, they do it on the players as well. I mean, the amount of times
there's a lot of flip flopping. You're right.
Oh, look how well O played. Oh, he deserves to be in ahead of Kyogo.
That's a good point.
O's this, O's that. And then today I'm seeing the same people that said O was brilliant during the week now saying he's absolutely shite. Just
I mean, Coffee watches a lot of the bus, so it's great that he's decided now you lot know fuck all about football. We'll keep watching though, Coffee, and I hope we'll keep uneducating you. He says BR was never a half decent manager. I mean, that's just silly. I can't even bother going into it. Rusty says, if we spend 50 million in Jan, we win the league.
Not if we spend 15 players.
That is a great point. Anyway, we are going to leave it there. That's been a nice rounded off hour. Remember, there is a board that don't like the fans. There is a hell of a lot more fans than there were before. Not being a smart ass, it's just the truth. That are now realising that they don't like the board and how much they spend. There is a team that are not connected with a manager, and there is a manager that doesn't rate half of his players. That is where we're at right now. I always emphasise, keep your eyes on this board. Cheers, Terry.
Yeah.